Hey there, welcome to Above the Law Live, and yes, I am driving and have been driving for many hours, and I probably look like it, but I wanted to be sure and touch base with you today, and I'm following up on the last time we met, the last time I visited with you, and I talked about commitment. Well, sorry, I'm setting my cruise control. Let me tell you, I happen to be, just making sure that doesn't fall down. Pretty much driven across Texas today, taking first kiddo to college, and very bittersweet and exciting and wonderful. Okay, let me say this. Texas is huge. My goodness, took us forever to get across our sweet little home state. You know, it is actually, just to give you a little perspective, Israel fits between Wichita Falls, Texas, and San Antonio. The whole country that the eyes of the world are always settled on is that big. Okay, Texas is roughly the size of Turkey. Texas is roughly the size of Iraq with a little bit of Syria and Turkey thrown in. All right, it's ridiculous. I often laugh because there's so much Texas pride, and it can be, like, you know, no pride is good. But it's really funny because when we're in an international setting, it is not unusual at all to find, you've heard the saying, it's like, well, you can always tell a Texan, but you can't tell them much. Well, that is so often the case that when we've been in an international setting and people go around and say their country, you know, they're like, oh, Switzerland, France, Germany. No doubt the Texan will say, Texas. And everybody goes, oh yeah, Texas, Cowboys. Okay, we're a state, not a whole country. It's ridiculous, but just to let you know, that's what happens. So if I'm looking a little rough, it's because I have been driving across the great state of Texas. It's blessed, but golly, it's huge. So we're almost to Little Rock, where we're stopping for the night. That was free just because I saw the sign, I was taking note, and did not mean to even say that out loud. But anyway, that's where we're headed on part of our journey. Okay, so commitment, friendship. Please read the excerpt below. I guess it is an excerpt from Kingdom 101, but I want you to realize that we've lost so much over the last several years of becoming too independent. We are not interdependent on one another. The saying, it takes a village to raise a child, really is true, but we've become isolated, even though we see each other on social media all the time. That they're casual relationships, and I love casual relationships, but I need committed, deep, covenant, heart to heart, like I said last week, till death or Jesus kind of relationships. And I am incredibly blessed that I have many of those, which is, I think, is pretty unique. It's just a great group of folks I run around with, and we all love Jesus so much that we're all knit together in Him. That's where the commonality is, because a lot of the people who are my very dearest, I have nothing in common with, really, other than the unity of the Spirit. And that gives us the unity of the brethren. We are in it because we're in Christ, and we have chosen by His leading to commit ourselves to one another and say, hey, we're in it for the long haul. This is how we're going to go, and when things get tight, I have got your back. And when you offend me, I am going to tell you, even though it's really awkward, and I'd much rather just text you or forget about it or stuff it down. If it's worth it, and it's something I can't just overlook, we're going to have to talk about it, and we're going to get through it. Even if we continue to disagree, we're still going to get through it together. I don't agree with the people I'm in these deep relationships, these deep friendships with all the time. In fact, I butt heads pretty strongly with some folks, but I love them so much and I trust them that I just say, okay, well, we're just going to think differently about that. And oftentimes, more often than not, they're probably right, and I learn from them. But I just want you to know it's possible, especially, well, not especially, but because I'm a woman, I can tell you that girls can be mean, and they can be catty, you bet, but we don't have to be. We do not have to tear each other down to stir one another on to something good. women can be sisters. And I'm not talking about sisters who have cat fights. I'm talking about your sister who knows your heart. But I don't want to be exclusive to women, because I don't have to tear down men to lift up women either. I have some of my dearest friends who are men who I love. I love our relationship. I love our friendship, and I am vulnerable with them too. And it's been immeasurable in our lives, but it takes a lot. There is a price to pay, but you want to talk about a return on investment? Man, it's hard. It'll kill you. You'll go to the cross, but what you reap after you have sown love and vulnerability and being real far surpasses the pain. And so I want you to know that there is a godly relationship where you say, man, with God between us, I am with you. And you can verbalize on it. You can actually, in this day and age, tell somebody, I'm in it with you for the long haul. I love you. I'm not going anywhere. It's not typical. It's not unique, and it is special. And I'm not saying to entrust yourself just to anybody at all. Okay? No, that's not what I'm saying. If somebody has burned your trust, you can break trust. It doesn't mean you withhold the right or withhold trust from them completely, but it does have to be rebuilt. That's okay. But you in your heart can make the choice to allow them to rebuild trust with you. And if there's a place where they're just not rebuilding it and it's not going to happen, then guess what? You can love them to that. You love them with all your heart, but you can trust them to a different degree. It does not mean loving somebody does not mean being ungodly and foolish. It means have a boundary, but it doesn't mean that you can't love them with all your heart. You just learned how much you can trust them. That's okay. And then there are some people who come through for you who, when everybody else fails you, and that happens sometimes, then somebody's sticking around that you're like, wow, I didn't know you felt that way about me. I've been very guilty more than once of not realizing how important I was to someone. And I'm working on that to go, you know what? I've got a lot to give because the Lord's given a lot to me. Let me be aware of that. And I've been hurt before thinking somebody was more important to me than they realized. And the old rejection game gets thrown around, and that's just not from our Father. So I wanted to point out that God is into friendship. Jonathan and David are a lovely example of this, and it is a godly relationship that's a covenant relationship between two believers. And there he's like, man, I'm in. Even though his dad wanted to kill him, Jonathan still said, I know the Lord's anointed. I know there's something good to stick with here, and I'm going to stick with you. Right? And he didn't tear down his father, and he wasn't ugly to his father. As a matter of fact, he died with him. So that speaks a lot there. So I just want you to know it is possible to have deep relationships with our brothers and sisters in Christ. Okay? And I'm not saying you can't have it with people who aren't believers, but you won't have the unity of the Spirit. You can only go so far. But it can grow, especially when you're expressing the love of the Father. And so yeah, that's today's Above the Law Live. I hope it encourages your heart. I hope that you're looking around for some good brothers and sisters, and if you want to have friends like that, you've got to start it. It says in order to have friends, you got to show yourself friendly. So be friendly, but be vulnerable with those that the Lord really shows you to open your heart to. You'll go so much further. All right, I'm sorry I can't read the comments because I'm really trying to be safe, and we're in Arkansas, and there are trees everywhere. How are you supposed to know where you're going if you can't see 200 miles in advance like you do in West Texas? Anyway, man, sometimes I just crack myself up. Sound like such a hick. Okay, well, love you guys. Hope you are blessed. And don't forget to release that Rebbe.